So, in my opinion, there should be absolutely no ethical committees. Very recently, it's not even in my book because it was just 2 weeks ago, they announced that 15 babies had been born with genetically modified. That's wonderful. And it's just the beginning. Soon you will see human beings improve genetically. Like we can make genetically modified food for better, not for worse, we will be able to make also human beings better than they are today. An ethical...
Welcome to the basic facts of the Raelian Movement Cult. Let's start with Rael meets the Elohim. Claude Raelian was born on September 30th, 1946 in France. I will be referring to him as Rael throughout the video. Although Rael was raised by his grandmother, who was a known atheist, he still attended a Catholic boarding school, where at the age of 15 he would run away. Rael stated that he spent around 3 years on the streets of Paris, performing music until he met a director of a national radio program that would sign him to a record contract. Rael began to go by the stage name Claude Cellar and would release a minor hit called Honey and Cinnamon, but his music career would never go further than that. Rael would turn his interest to race cars and would run and publish a racing magazine called Autopop in 1971. On December 13, 1973, while on his way to work, he stated that he had a strong feeling come over him to go to a volcano near Clermont-Ferrand, where he allegedly saw a UFO land that looked like a bell but made no sound. He goes on to state that he met an alien named Eloha, who is part of an elder race of aliens known as the Elohim. Rael and the Planet of the Eternals. For the next 6 days, Rael would return to Eloha, who told him that the Earth was created by the Elohim in a laboratory 25,000 years ago, and that they had done this to 2 other planets. Eloha also explained that our primitive ancestors had met the Elohim and mistaken them as gods, and that Elohim in ancient Hebrew means those who came from the sky, but was later changed by the church to mean a singular god. The next coming months, Rael stopped publishing his magazine and fully dedicated himself to preaching about the Elohim. In 1975, Rael would have enough followers to officially find the group, which would start as MATIC, standing for Movement for Welcoming of the Elohim Creators of Humanity. On October 2, 1975, Rael states he was visited by the Elohim again, but this time he was taken to the planet of the Eternals where Yahweh is the ruler. He also states that he met Moses, Buddha, Jesus, and Muhammad here, noting that he was told that he's the half-brother of Jesus, and because of that, he's the last living prophet. It's revealed to him that humans were created by cloning from the 9,000 Eternals that live on this planet, and that in order for the Elohim to return to Earth, which would bring protection and security to the planet, humans need to show that they appreciate being made this way by learning to clone themselves. Allegedly, the Elohim also asked Rael to have an embassy built for them for when they return. This becomes one of Rael's main missions with the group. France labels the group as a dangerous cult. On return, Rael chooses a symbol he had seen on the spaceships as the group's symbol, which is the Star of David with a swastika in the center. He tells members that wearing this symbol acts as a psychic catalyst to help them communicate with the Elohim telepathically. Shortly after, Rael would begin to hold seminars in Japan and go by the name Rael, as well as changing the group's name to the Raelian Movement. The seminars were so successful that Rael began to run the Happiness Academy, which was a 6-day gathering of both members and people interested in joining the group, where they could learn about the group and re-energize through guided meditations. But a former member has stated that there are forced orgies at the gatherings that include children as young as 15, and that females are pressured into walking around topless. In the early 1990s, Rael would move their headquarters to Quebec after being banned from France. Rael would state it was because of tax issues, but the real reason was because of accusations of pedophilia. France would go on to label the group as a dangerous cult. The group recruits at schools and universities. In 1991, before submitting a request to build an embassy in Israel, Rael changed the group's symbol, removing the swastika and replacing it with a galactic-shaped swirl, in hopes that Israel would accept their request. In 1992, 46-year-old Rael married a 16-year-old member named Sophie de Niverville, whose mother and aunt were also members of the group. That same year, a former member tried to shoot and kill Rael, stating that his wife and children were being held hostage inside the group. The next year, Israel rejected the group's request to build an embassy. The group would then put in a request to both Canada and Russia, but those requests were rejected as well. While trying to find a place that would allow an Elohim embassy, the group began to run recruitment sessions at schools and universities under the guise of guided meditations and discussion sessions. This would become their main form of recruitment. Clonade. In 1994, Rael would begin to race in car races, hoping to bring more publicity to the group. He would stop in 2001. People who would join the group now would find out that Rael was teaching that what makes women feminine is their willingness to be nude and their sexuality. Female members are heavily pressured to have sex with as many people as possible, under the guise of getting in touch with their femininity. Partner passing is also highly encouraged in the group, with Rael stating that this is the best way to network. Rael also speaks against marriage, stating it's useless and that sex education should start at the age of 5. In 1997, Rael stated he had a revelation from the Elohim that told him to make a group called the Order of the Angels. This order consisted of women and young girls that are to serve every need of Rael's, including sexual. It is believed that Rael pimps these females out to get men to join the group. In February of 1997, the group would announce that they had made a human cloning company called Clonade. Fellow member and close confidant of Rael's, named Bridget Boisselee, would head the operation with her background in physical and biomolecular chemistry. The group claims to have cloned a human. By 2000, Rael stated that the group wasn't involved with Clonade anymore and that he had handed it over to Boisselee. But on March 28, 2001, Rael would testify on behalf of Clonade at a U.S. congressional hearing about the benefits of human cloning. On December 26, 2002, Clonade claims that they cloned the first human, a female baby named Eve, although till this day there has only been one photograph of her. Most believe the cloning didn't take place and this was a publicity stunt. The group honors Hugh Hefner. In January 2003, Clonade announced that they had cloned a second female baby in the Netherlands, and shortly after, a male baby in Japan. Although recruitment slowed nearly to a stop at this time, members were still expected to pay 7% of their income to Rael, who lives off of all mandatory donations. Members are also pressured to leave their inheritance to Rael, including any property, and some members have already handed over their money and belongings while still being alive. Members who are willing to pay 10% of their income can become a guide. These guides will be in charge of welcoming the Elohim when they return to Earth, as well as carrying out baptisms for new recruits, which they call cellular plan transmission ceremonies. These ceremonies have to be carried out at exactly 3 p.m. when, according to Rael, a spaceship known as the Connection Station will receive the new member's genetic code for cloning. And then there are honorary guides, who are nominated by Rael, usually when he finds them outstanding. These people consist of celebrities and millionaires, such as in early 2004, Rael announced that Bill Gates was an honorary guide, stating Gates was more of a saint than Mother Teresa because he didn't spend donated money trying to convert people to a religion. In October of that year, Rael would announce that Hugh Hefner, the founder of Playboy magazine, was an honorary guide because he broke sexual taboos. Rael receives a prophecy. In 2007, Rael changes their symbol back to a swastika and begins to celebrate World Swastika Rehabilitation Day, stating that the swastika is a symbol of peace that was abused by the Nazis. On August 6, 2015, Rael states that he received a prophecy from Yahweh that condemned Israel, saying that the protection for Israel had been withdrawn due to Israel's policies on the Palestinians. Rael also stated that Jews needed to leave Israel, and if they didn't, there would be dire consequences. In 2021, a high-ranking guide in the group named Bobby Popevon was arrested for a sexual assault that took place in the group in the 1990s. Authorities have stated that it is believed there are many more victims in the group because sexual abuse accusations of other Raelians have been present since the 1980s. The group may not be in the public eye as much as before, but they are still very active, with the majority of members being in Korea. So whether or not you believe that the human race was made by aliens and that Rael is the last prophet, you now know the basic facts of the Raelian Movement Cult. Thanks for watching.